Good morning. It's Monday. It's the first day of August. Can you imagine this year is like flashing by at super speed? It's just incredible. I thought August 1st I would do a short video to share a few thoughts of something very exciting that I just happened to come across, and I'll tell you a little bit about the background. But first, if you like my videos, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button and share it with your friends. I have a sort of a commitment to maybe be a little bit more faithful to these and be a little bit more proactive and try to build up the subscriber numbers and get these things out to the extent that people are interested in them. I will continue to do them. If I don't get any interest, then I just won't worry about it. But anyway, couple of things. First of all, I was having a cup of coffee this morning with one of the ladies at the church who had come in to do some volunteer work, and she was a little bit early, and so I poured her a cup of coffee and sat down with her, and she was looking at her phone, and she had pulled up her electricity bill, and she was lamenting the fact that it went 2 months ago, it went up $90. Then last month it went up $120, and this month it went up again, and her bill is almost $400. She's a single elderly lady who lives by herself. She doesn't do a lot of laundry. She doesn't hardly cook. She's hardly ever there during the day, and her bill was almost $400. What we're living through right now is sinful. It's incredibly sinful. What is being hoisted upon the people of our country intentionally to try to force us into some kind of a different kind of power system. I'm not going to say it because I don't want them to delete my video, but it's really incredible when you think about it. I don't think this has anything to do with the environment, to be honest with you. I think it has to do with money. I think that there are certain money people invested in those technologies, and that this is an effort to funnel, it's like corporate welfare, funnel them money. That's just my opinion. Take it for what you think. If you don't like it, don't believe it. If you do like it, check it out. But it's really got me thinking about a lot of things, and one of the things that came into my world this last few days was there's a guy at the church who suggested a book, and the name of the book is Atheism Dead? And the author is Eric Metaxas, Metaxas, Metaxas. So he actually gave me a copy of the book to share with the pastor, and the pastor's in the middle of some other reading and suggested that I go ahead and read the book myself and then give it back to him. And so in advance of reading the book, I said, well, let me find out what I can see online about this guy. I was familiar with the name, but I didn't know from where. And then see if I could find anything about this, Is Atheism Dead? And sure enough, I came across a video that he had done just before the book was initially released. And he's given a talk to his very large church. And it's a very interesting talk. And I'm going to tell you how this came to me, and it's in a roundabout way. I preached several weeks ago, and one of the things that I included in my sermon was that as time goes on, science is more and more proving parts of the Bible that a lot of people had come to think were maybe just myths or stories to just teach a lesson or whatever. And I was sharing with the congregation that archaeological finds have uncovered even towns which were lost. And because they were lost, people figured they weren't actually real towns. They were just fictitious towns in the Bible. But now they're finding evidence of where these towns existed, and they're getting actual proof from the archaeological dig about these towns. Also, there have been finds of different things. Like, for example, I remember reading that where the Red Sea, remember, we don't see a Red Sea right now, but where the Red Sea was purportedly to have been, they're doing archaeological discoveries, and they found chariot wheels. And the question was, were those chariot wheels from the Pharaoh's chariots? You know, if you read the scriptures of the chariots and charioteers, that very famous reading from Holy Saturday Night. So these scientific discoveries are beginning to prove things. In addition to that, often the Catholic Church has had teachings, and people put the church down as stupid or behind the times and all this kind of stuff. For example, on the whole idea of contraception, you know, and more what's being found out is that the church was pretty much right on in its prediction of what would happen if certain things were changed to allow certain types of activities. I hope you get the gist of what I'm talking about. I don't want to wipe out my video when I be a little bit too explicit, but for example, right now, as we speak, the Labyrinth Council in England, which is the Anglican Church / Episcopal, they get together every other year and decide what their theology is going to be. And I'm very simplifying a very complex process. But it was that council in the 30s that 3 times had a proposal before it to, remember before the 30s, no church approved of artificial contraception. And the Labyrinth Council put it before a vote, and it failed. A lot of very wealthy money was put into it to try to pass it. At the second meeting, it failed. At the third meeting, another $1 million was put in to try to pass it, and they provided a very small exception, which was only married couples and in only a few circumstances. But that was the proverbial crack in the dam. And what happened was, between then and the 60s, this explosion of it, and then the Catholic Church, Pope Paul VI, opined with Humanae Vitae on what he thought would happen if this became to be the norm. And the things he predicted have really come true. Think about it. How much is the dignity of women been reduced to the point where people look at women through the lens of sex object? You know, that's really happening. You see so many increase in the number of crimes, you know, domestic violence and different things like that are going on, and his attacks on women. And then there were other things that he predicted that actually have come true. And I was saying that this is proof that sometimes the church was right on things. Well, this book, Is Atheism Dead? He goes through and he talks about the fine-tuned universe. I had to look it up. The fine-tuned universe. Phenomenal theoretical complex issue. And he was talking about how the number one atheist, Hitchens, when asked what on the other side is the one thing that you would think is the hardest for you to discredit, and his answer was the fine-tuned universe. So even the atheists acknowledge that the fine-tuned universe is very difficult. And I'm not going to get into the whole gist of the book, but I'll tell you in a very short way what it is. It's the fact that the universe is made in such a way that if it had been in any other way, there wouldn't be life on Earth. And maybe Earth would have been destroyed. And it's just how fine-tuned the creation of God is to make things the way they are possible. And I'll talk more about the fine-tuned universe in another video. But I wanted to get out the idea of that this book by Eric Metaxas, and if you get to see anything from him, if you go on YouTube, you can find that hour-long video, Is Atheism Dead?, is very important. And especially in this time, this age, where it seems that we have good versus evil going on. And I hope you are on the side of good, because certainly I am. So that's it for today. If you like the video, hit the like, share button, share it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll promise you I'll be a little bit more faithful with the videos in the future. God bless everybody. Have a great Monday.